Hey guys, it's Linda Winter from Winter Designs, and on my table I've got hearts. Now, yeah, Valentine's is close by, but hearts are great all year long. It doesn't have to be for Valentine's, but I want to show you some new templates that I have. I've got a lot. It's hard to make one heart and say that's it, so I decided to make a bunch of hearts. And Monkey, of course, has to join us, so I'm going to hold her, which means she'll jump. These over here, if we look, it's hard to see, but this is a more traditional heart. If we look over here, this has a little bit of curve to it. These are all the same incrementally, but these, when I show you these in a little bit more detail, you'll see Wonky has a different shape depending on the size. This guy here is symmetrical, and I'm actually going to make a change to this template a little bit longer. So when you order it, you're not going to have this. It's going to be a little bit longer. It's a primitive or a symmetrical heart, and they're a whole lot of fun to make. I haven't stuffed any of these because I want you to be able to see the different sizes that I have, but of course you're going to stuff them or do coasters or do mug rugs or do pillows or do zipper cases. There's just so many things. That's the problem. There's so many things, and I'm trying to get templates out so you can get them before Valentine's Day, and I'm going to leave it up to you to be creative with all of these things. I have one more set of templates from the hearts that I want to show you. This right here, this is the same as this and that's Monkey. Monkey's making a mess. You can see this is a full template, and oops, it says same as this. Maybe I'm missing this size. So I'm missing this size and this. Oh, this is my coaster. Okay, so these guys here, they're actually the same size as this. They're just halfway. The halfway that we have here means that you can place your fabric on the fold. That makes the cutting super easy, but it also means you can't fussy cut. What do I mean by fussy cutting? I'll show you in more detail later on, but picking out your fabric and centering it exactly where you want. If I look at these two here, you can see I've got the Fussy Cut Frame, but I also have cut marks. Those cut marks are for the rotary cutter to go inside. If you're familiar with some of my other templates, especially the ones that have the boxed bottoms, those cut marks make all the difference. These are at an angle, so when you're cutting this way and you're cutting this way, you can get inside. But the Fussy Cut Frames work with these. They will kind of work with the half, but you're only having half a template. So when I show you fussy cutting, you'll get it. You'll see why we need that. Okay, so I want to talk about one more template because I said these are the hearts, but I also have this. This is my basket, my mini basket. I showed you guys the mini basket before, the set. Right before Christmas, I did these as a set. They're nested. These are nested, but this one is a little bit longer, and I'm going to turn it. I didn't highlight any of these because I want you to remember you're going to need to use a metallic highlighter. But do you see what it says? Coaster. This guy here, this is the largest one that I have, and it's not large enough to hold your traditional size coaster. This one will be. So the nested mini templates, that's what these guys are, mini baskets. These are the nested ones. Those are the 3 that you can buy as a bundle. This is a new one. If you're new to this, where you haven't seen it before, I'm using vinyl. You need a raw edge that looks nice when you're sewing it together. So you can see here, this is that vinyl, the faux leather material, and what you get on the back side is what you get on the inside, so you want to make it pretty. This has the little basket weave kind of a look, but look at some of these. These are really cool. We're going to be talking about those when we look at this sample. There's a white version, there's a black version, but you can buy these by the roll for the 3 sizes. This is not wide enough for the coaster. So with the coaster, you need to buy by the yard. Sometimes they have remnants, so the remnants are great too. So again, if you're new to this, the mini baskets, or you're new to me in general, what makes these templates amazing, the no slip backing. No slipping, no kidding. All right, so I can work on the front or the back. I've got the red here. This is going to be the inside of the basket that shows. And again, that no slip material is grabbing. When I cut, I'm going to cut along the edge, and instead of moving my body like this, I'm going to move the template. What that does is, because of the no slip backing on the back, it's grabbing and it's staying with the fabric, which is my faux leather, my vinyl. All right, so you can see I've just cut the edges. Now I'm going to go inside here and I cut. Notice this hand is not right in the way, it's over here. So I'm not, if I hit the template and go up, I'm not gonna slice myself. So again, my hand is out of the way and I just cut, and you can see how it takes that right out. So I'll do all 4 of those corners. These are our cut marks, and the cut marks make all the difference when using a template like this. If you used an acrylic ruler and you had to measure that, you'd be hitting right in that corner and you'd be cutting right about here, maybe like 1/4 of an inch away, and then you have to go back with scissors and trim. What I want to be able to do is make a basket, a basket, a basket, a basket, a basket, done fast and easy. So what have I got? I've got this cut out here. What are we going to do next? We're basically going to be grabbing those clips, Wonder clips, whatever kind of clips, no pins because I don't want to have markings. And don't even leave these clips on forever because it will leave marks on this. So I have folded in half diagonally. We're going to stitch here and we're going to stitch here. Our stitching shows. So we want to make sure when we're stitching that we've got a nice bobbin thread that matches in our top thread. And if you need to use a jump humper or a hump jumper, whatever it is that you call it, to get over that vinyl and not get your thread all nested up here, make sure you do that. If you don't have one, just grab some of this stuff that's been left over and fold it up like that and put that underneath on the back side of your foot. So when you start to sew, this is going to be on the back and your needle is going to be basically in between. That's going to lift the foot up so you can stitch. You can also go this way. I like to go from the back and then go up. So lock in those stitches too. When you do those 2 sides, then you're going to flop this over and we're going to do these 2 sides, that one, and that gives you this. This size is going to give me a coaster size. So if I've got coasters that I can do with this in a coaster basket, then I've got templates that make coasters as well. You can make coasters out of the fabric. I don't necessarily like doing the right sides together and turning because we're losing some of that, but you can. I have a template that's the right size if you want to do that. But the raw edge, you can use pinking shears. You can do a seam, a finished edge that's a satin stitch or a zigzag or something like that. But you can imagine if I've got a bunch of coasters in here, how this would make a really nice gift. So this is just strip piecing is basically what I did on this too. You're going to be starting on a piece of batting or interfacing or fusible fleece or something like that and sewing your strips. When you do the larger hearts and make them longer, these look really pretty. I want to show you on the back side, we're jumping around from the coaster to the heart. You can see if I am doing raw edges, I don't want to have that seam allowance here. When I pull this over, you can see this one, I've got my seam allowance that I have to very carefully tuck that in. I don't want to have to very carefully anything. I want to be done with it and move on to the next project. So what did I do? I cut 2 pieces of fabric. Honestly, it doesn't matter where you put these together, but you're going to be stitching 2 together. So you have 2 pieces of fabric. Let's see if I can find one. So we're going to have these 2 pieces of fabric, and we're basically going to be sewing. You can see how this is sewn and that's sewn. That leaves an opening. What am I going to do with that opening? If I want to stuff this to make a pillow, then I can make a sachet or a pillow, add some lavender or whatever kind of potpourri. Those of you that know sachets, that's a nice thing to stick in your drawer. Put a hanger on it and hang it in the closet. But this gives me, see how this side, Monkey just has to be a part of filming. Those of you that love Monkey, I love that you love Monkey, but Monkey does like to be a hog on the camera. So right inside of here, I've got this going this way and this going this way. I pressed this first. Go ahead and sew first, but then press that open. Now what we're going to end up doing is stuff inside here, stuff inside of here. Any kind of a polyfill. You can buy the polyfill, but if you have pillows that you don't like anymore, that don't match your decor, and that still are in decent shape, rip them open and start stuffing. Stuff inside of here, stuff inside of here, and then go all the way down at the point first. You can use a turning tool to help stuff. I've got one somewhere. Phillips stiletto. You guys know this stiletto. This is great when you grab some of the polyester filling, the polyfill, and then stuff here, stuff here, stuff here. And that gives you a finished edge. What do we do with the finished edge afterwards? I can sew it by hand, but I'm not going to. You can use a peel-off tape, or you can use fabric glue. Fabric glue that's permanent, that doesn't leave any residue, would be perfect right there to finish that off. And the cool thing is, it gives a nice finished look. That's one way to do it. The other way you can do it is place something right on top of there. So if you wanted to put something like this, you know, cut this out and cut that out and glue that on top of there as well. It's totally up to you. This, to me, just gives you a much nicer finish and a quicker finish than having that seam on the side where you have to do the turning. And you can see here, I've started turning here, and you can see that's not lined up consistently. And because this has all kinds of embellishment on the front, I'm going to have to take my time and finish that up. If you did something back here, you can even cut right here. So you're doing all the way around, just do a cut when you go to turn this right sides out. And then on top of there, again, you can just glue this right on top of there to close that off. Nobody's going to know that you're cheating. They're going to think, oh, she put a handmade tag on that. Isn't that sweet? She let me know that she handmade it. So it's kind of a cool thing. The other thing you can do, of course, is you can add little doodads, all kinds of embellishments. You know, there's just all kinds of stuff. I've got somewhere on the table a piece that I rubber stamped. I love the idea of rubber stamping. Grab some of your junky fabrics. You can see I've got stains there, but I can certainly, with rubber stamps, stamp, 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 and you're actually going to go this way. So take the lid off and stamp this way rather than this way. If you haven't done rubber stamping before, if you press this way, you're going to get a whole lot of ink that's going to bleed. So you're going to take the stamp pad to the stamp, and then you'll stamp and you'll get that. Somewhere on the table I've got one, and we'll probably find it as I start clearing things off. Okay, so let's go back to the hearts that I have. We've talked about the coasters. This is a wonky heart. A wonky heart because it's not exactly the same. I mentioned before that all of the hearts are going to be symmetrical left and right except for the wonkies, and symmetrical in size or incrementally in size except for the wonkies. So this wonky is a perfect size for a coaster. I did a 5-inch square. If you don't have a 5-inch square, I've got it on my website. It's called a charm, and that will fit in perfectly. You can do that with a finished edge, but you can do that with a raw edge like this as well, and use your pinking shears. Raw edge pinking shear is always going to be faster because I don't have to turn it, I don't have to press well, all of those things. This is always going to be faster. It gives you a little wider, a little bit bigger in the size, because we're not turning and losing anything in the turning. But the wonky from here is this guy here. So wonky here, that's the first one. We'll talk fussy cutting in a minute. This is the second one. You can see this is a fussy cut. Fussy cuts are optional. If you don't care about fussy cutting, you can buy the templates by themselves, the wonky set. If I broke this up where you bought this one or this one or this one, it would be crazy on the website. So for now, I'm going to have these as a set. So there's 3. I want to pull over another. My wonkies, I actually have one more than I would normally have. Do you see the difference now? These 2 are alike. These 2 are very much alike, but a little bit. See how that's got more of a wonk there than this one does? And then when I get to my biggest one, you can see how this biggest one is basically this incrementally. So with the wonky ones, I've got it going to the left and going to the right. That's part of the wonky appeal, I think. And the wonky, I think, is a whole lot of fun because you get to play around with your fabrics. And it also, if you're not perfectly consistent with your seam allowance, it's kind of okay because it's not going to show. Okay, so those are your wonkies that are there. Let's pull over here the traditional set, and I've got 4 for the traditional set. This is the first one you can see here, and it does give you the sizes on the template. So when you've got these templates at home, go ahead and if you don't want to highlight 4 by 4.75, that's 4 3/4, you can just write that on there. But this says traditional heart. And we're going to write on here also the TRD, I think is what we're going to be putting on here, so you'll know how these go together. Honestly, what I would do is get the silver metallic and just do a silver for these, all of these. And then if you have all of these, and you can do rose gold and you can do gold on here, so you're not getting all confused. So back cut to the sizes. So traditional heart, here's the smallest that I have in the set. There's the next size. I'm going to pull these here so you can see the size difference. Here's the third one. And then here's the fourth one. The fourth one, you can see it's not big enough for a placemat. I've had a lot of people say, make a placemat. It's not going to work for a heart, because imagine your placemat big enough. Your plate is going to be with this sticking in your belly. So you can put this on the placemat. You can do raw edge on there. You can put this on the placemat. You can put this on the placemat. You can put any of these on the placemat, but you don't want the placemat the shape of the heart. It's just not going to work. It's not going to look cute. You'd have to kind of go this away to put the plate on there. You can do mug rugs. Mug rugs would be great with any of these in any size. The mug rug, if you're not familiar with mug rugs, it's for your Coke or your coffee or your hot chocolate and your cookies or your carrots or your celery or whatever it is that you're eating. So you've got both. I like to put cinnamon or some kind of a nutmeg or something inside of there. So if you have a hot drink, it gives that nice scent when you're, putting it back on there. So mug rugs are great for that. Okay, so this guy here, these are the symmetrical hearts. And the symmetrical left and right, and again, these are going to be a little bit longer. Let me show you these. Here are two samples that are here. This is a longer one. I want you to think a little bit longer, a little bit narrower for these. So these guys here, when I look at these, again, you can choose to do the fussy cut frame or not. So this is the smallest in the set. This is the next one. I'm going to turn them this way so you can see a little bit better. There's the next one, and then here's the last one. So you can see those. See how they're all symmetrical, left and right, exactly the same. And the same thing on here. If you were going to have SYM, I think is what we're putting on. It'll probably be up here. So when you buy these, they'll be a little bit longer. It's a primitive heart, but primitive kind of has a old-fashioned connotation, so we made it symmetrical. All right, and again, these guys that are half, they're going to be exactly the same as this, but you'll put it on the fold. I haven't cut a heart yet, so I want to show you how to do that. But I want to show you something that's kind of cool. If you buy whatever set I'm throwing in until I run out of them, this is not to cut around with your rotary cutter. Do you see how thin that is? Let me grab one of the other ones. And do you see how that's thicker? This is not so much to cut around. You could cut around it, but when you get to here, there aren't cut marks. These are tracing templates. What are you going to do with tracing templates? If you're working with the vinyl, if you're not comfortable with the rotary cutter, you can trace around on the back side. But you can also trace around and make pins. You can make little tokens. If you've seen the website, I found a quilted heart. Go find the website. I found a quilted heart. Not all of mine are quilted, so they don't really qualify, but it's a really cool thing to be a part of. And you may want to check that out and make some hearts. And then the idea is you leave a heart somewhere, and somebody walks by, there's a little note. I found a quilted heart. And there's a Facebook group and a website page where you can go, and the person that finds that heart, they take a picture of it where they found it. They write a little note. It's a kind of cool thing. So you can do that. I think these would be a whole lot of fun to do. And you leave them if you're at the library, if you're at the gas station, if you're wherever, you go someplace, a coffee shop, and you leave little hearts with a little note. And they have a note for you to print out there as well. So these guys here, again, if you buy the traditional set, which is over here, then you'll get the traditional template plus the fussy cut frame. I'll include that for free till at some point I'll say, okay, we've run out of these because we made a bunch. This is, see the SYM? That's what you're going to be seeing on the others. The TRD for traditional. So you'll be able to see those. So these little guys, they're tracing templates because they're thinner. That's kind of a cool thing to do. Okay, so I want to cut a heart. I'm going to pull these hearts over so you can see. I showed you the back so you can see. We kind of jumped around. Here are some of the hearts. These are wonky hearts that you can see. These are the traditional hearts. You can see how it's a little bit different in size. I didn't want to make them the same size because if you're trying to decide what size do I want, you may want to look at the size first versus the shape. I like looking at the shape first, but you get the idea of they're similar, but they're different, okay? All right, so those guys there. Let me grab some fabric. I'm going to grab plain old fabric And notice that stain that's there? I can work around that stain. Let's find a template. I'm going to grab this guy, my Wonky. And do you see how right here, and this is where I may, because I've got this ugly fabric, but when I start making it and I start rubber stamping, I start embellishing, I start adding on all these cool things. This is from a bag. All the bags that you buy that have the kind of a recyclable, I put that on there. What I did on the back was I cut this open and I glued this on top. This is a glue not to use, so lesson learned. You see how that's showing the glue? So you don't want to do that kind of a thing. I put a whole lot of glue, and that's definitely not the way to go. But you can start embellishing, and you can use fabrics like this. You can see if I put this here and I could put this here, imagine cutting along here and then adding some text. You know, if I've got this where I've stamped, P.S. I love you, you know, you can do some fun things. But I want to show you how to cut with this. All right, so I've got 2 layers of fabric. I don't recommend when you get to here doing 4, 6, 8. If you're doing the primitive, you're going to be putting this on the fold. And you don't want to do more than 2 layers either because you've got the fold. The fold is what's going to cause the issue, not cutting along here. When your folds are here, you may not line your folds up consistently. All right, so you can work around this space if you want to. I'm going to. And I'm just going to do this to get myself a little piece that's a little bit smaller to control. I like to start on a point, but it's totally up to you. And I cut off. When I turn that template, I'm cutting off. When I get to here, I'm just going to go right across, and we're going to come back and deal with this when we finish. So we're going to go all the way. And by the way, if you push and you kind of tweak that and cut a little bit, just a good nail file can rub that and smooth it out. Okay, we're going to go to here, and we cut that piece off, and then we want to come in and address right inside of here. Now this, with those cuts, it allows me to go in, but you want to make sure that as the rotary cutter blade is going, that we're following inside of there. When I go over here, I've got to cut from the other side, and I want to make sure, because I'm going in the other direction, that I'm still getting right along here. If you're right-handed or left-handed, it really doesn't matter because one side is going to be easier for you than the other. You may or may not cut all of this off. If you don't, no big deal. Grab those sharp scissors that you have and you can trim that off. What that's doing is giving me close enough for ready to sew or ready to do whatever. So I'm going to trim those guys off there. So the cut marks that are there for you, if you're not comfortable with that, then what you do, this fabric doesn't matter because it's not a right or wrong, but you can go in with your marker, one of the washable markers or the heat erasable markers, and draw in here and draw in here. So when you cut, if you don't get inside of there, no big deal. You can go cut those off. Okay, so I want to show you a few other things to be able to look at. You're doing things like this with all the embellishment. I threw this over here on this plain old fabric, not really, but you've got a satiny kind of fabric. I can put this on here. But you can also go look in your closet. You can go look at Goodwill. You can go look at wherever and find things like this. The clothing, jackets. We used to wear those in the 80s and 90s, all this embellishment. You don't need to do that embellishing. If you enjoy it, terrific, do that. All those goodies that you have, all that stuff that you have there. But you can also find clothes, and then you decide, do I like this? Do I like this? Do I want whatever? All these things that you may or may not have from scrapbooking or crafting or whatever, you can now put on there. Stuff this or not, quilt this or not, totally up to you. Again, I've left all my hearts flat just because I wanted you to be able to see the sizes. Once you start stuffing them, everything changes. You know, it's all based on how much stuffing you put in there. It all changes, so you really can't see. If you stuff, again, I'm going to recommend sachet stuff, so you're putting in all those wonderful smells. Wool, all of the felted wool, all of the sweaters that you have that you can throw in the washer and dryer hot water, those make beautiful hearts. Think about this being all embellished and all the fun that you can have with things like that. I showed this earlier, and I love the idea of this. this for clipping onto your backpack, onto your purse, whatever, and you've got your keys that are attached here. You're not going to lose your keys because you've got this cute thing. Here, I used the Fussy Cut frame. So when you've got this kind of stuff here, using the Fussy Cut frame, remember I said I wanted to show you fussy cutting, so let me grab one of these. I had one of these open, but let's grab this. This is from Hobby Lobby, $5.99. In the old days, they, you know, sometimes they're $6.99, $8.99, $9.99. In the old days, it was 50% off. Now, you're lucky if you get 40%. So you can see here, when I start to look, do I like this? Do I like this? Do I like this? You decide what it is that you want. You can see there are prettier areas that maybe they're pretty to you. You've got to look to see what it is you want. The Fussy Cut frame lets you do that. So you choose what it is you want to cut. Whether it's the vinyl like this is or your fabrics, when you find what it is, see how that flower's upside down? So I'm going to go this way. You can center it if you want. I want to get that butterfly inside of there. So I'm holding this down. Remember, if you're going to do a seam allowance, we're going to lose that. If you're going to do the raw edge, like this one that I have here, then that's going to show just fine. I like those. I like that. I want to get it a little bit more. My Fussy Cut frame lets me feature what it is that I want. I could add something right over here if I wanted to because it's kind of blank, or I can leave it as is. So I'm holding this down. I place this right inside of here. That's the correct one. I'm holding this down and I pop. When I pop, that lets me pop that up. And again, I'm going to take my rotary cutter and cut off a little bit and then cut off of here. I don't want to waste all of this, so I'm going to cut close to that so I still can use all of this other material. But that gives you an idea. Do you see how beautifully the no-slip backing works to grab that? Okay, I have a few things in my bin. Oh, there's my rubber stamping stuff. So I have one that was cut, but you can see here. That's what I mean by the don't go to the pad, go from the pad to the stamp. See how that's blurry there? Same thing with this, a little bit blurry. But play around, and then you can cut these out. You can see where mine was cut out here. Cut those out, and then you can add those onto your project. Mine is who knows where. But that would look really cute as a real simple kind of an embellishment. Even on something like this, and just have, you know, cut this out, P.S. I love you, on something simple like that. So we talked about the polyfill, we talked about the vinyls. I mentioned earlier that Valentine's hearts, yeah, of course, but patriotic, red, white, and blue, whatever it is, whatever season, you're basically giving somebody a heart, telling them how you love them. So this guy here and these guys here, you can stitch these two together. So you're going to be able to, let's go right here and stitch those two together, and then you can cut your heart out. I would do a smaller heart, probably less blue and more red, but you get the idea. So you do not have to be just Valentine's. I love fabrics like this. I want you to imagine that I've got one piece laid out in front of me. Do I like my oranges and pinks? Do I like my oranges and browns? Do I like my yellows and my greens? You can see I could make a whole series of hearts with this fabric. What I would do with this is this would go underneath. Imagine again that I have one layer. And like you all, if you've seen me film before, everything ends up on the floor. So I drop it or I throw it down. So I'm going to place this here. We're going to fuse this on. You can do your stitching before you cut. Do your stitching before you cut. So we're going to fuse this on and use your quilt lines that we have here. I'm going to use a ruler like this or like this. And when my foot goes right along here, do you see this space? That space is about where my foot would let me be, and it would let me stitch right in here. Why do I want to do that? I want people to think that I pieced it. I haven't. I cheated. I'm always about cheating and still getting a look that really gives you a great look. So these kinds of fabrics I think are wonderful. Imagine the bigger hearts done with things like that. All right, the other thing you can do, this, Dollar Tree. Look at Dollar Tree. This is silly. But imagine getting strips like this and you're going to piece them together and then do the little hearts that I had, that very first one that was the longer, this guy here. So you get a couple other fabrics. Again, cut this ruler here or this ruler here. These come in 3 different sizes. The 1 1/4 probably would be the one I would use. But you can cut those strips, and that'll give you something like this. The bigger the heart, the wider the strip, probably. So you guys get the idea of all of this. Grab your scraps, grab your old sheets, all of those things, the baggies that you put if you've done any color coordinating, and have fun with this. Sheets, this stuff here, this looks kind of linen-ish, and when you start adding the embellishments, it really dresses it up a lot. All right, guys, I've talked a lot about hearts. I've given you a few ideas. I cannot wait to hear what you do with these templates. They're so much fun. There's just wide, endless possibilities. I'm going to be posting pictures of projects on Facebook so you can see some of the other ideas that I have, and I want to see your pictures too. On my website, winner, opposite of loser, winnerdesigns.com, you can go to my contest page, and on my contest page you can take pictures of the project that you've done and upload them every month. The last day of the month, but the first Saturday of the month is when we announce the winner. I give away a $100 gift card to my website based on random drawing. So you make hearts with these templates, post your pictures, or make anything with any of my Winner Designs templates and post them on my website. I'll draw one name. Again, it's the first Saturday of the month. And then if you are on Facebook on the 15th of every month, I draw one name based on commenting, liking, sharing, all that kind of stuff. So do that a whole lot on my Facebook page, and I draw one name, and that person wins either a $100 gift card or something that's valued at $100 plus. Okay, YouTube, Linda Videos. One word, Linda Videos. Linda singular, videos plural, but it's all run together. Linda Videos, that's my YouTube channel. That's where you are right now. So subscribe to my YouTube so when I post new videos, you'll get an email that will say Linda Videos has a new video, and you can go see what I'm up to lately, and you get to see Monkey or Sylvester or Cole or whoever. I apologize for all of you that don't love the cats, but they run the roost here, so you know, it's kind of, we're gonna have them one way or the other. So okay, guys, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Follow me on Facebook. Sign up for my newsletter because these templates will be on sale for a limited time, and you'll find that on my newsletter that will go out this Saturday. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Have a great time, and happy Valentine's Day in advance, but give a heart. Make a heart. Have fun with hearts. So thanks. Bye.